stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference.
And everything, and like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. 2-3 weights class less than me. But if the
Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez have taken their build-up to the next level and have started 2025 on a very fierce note. While talks about their fight seem to have died in the latter parts of 2024, there's been rumors that the two fighters are set to have an epic boxing match sometime in 2025, probably around the Mexican Independence Day. Alvarez had initially declined the offer, using his fight in September as a reason for disregarding discussions about the matchup. However, he's taken that into consideration, stepping into the new year. And while talks of their fight began to grow again after Turki Alakshik reached out to Canelo Alvarez again in respect to their proposed matchup, Canelo and Crawford had their first clash.
I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. So let's not do that, Canelo.
The pair were called to Saudi Arabia for a meeting with Turki Alakshik, and they somehow arrived at the airport around the same time. At the airport, Canelo and Crawford met, and despite Crawford's willingness to exchange pleasantries with Alvarez, Canelo wasn't willing to entertain any greetings. His team members distanced Crawford from him, and Crawford's team members intervened, which led to some intense brawl at the airport. The airport security team intervened before the atmosphere became calm and both fighters went their separate ways. The beef between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez began some months ago due to Canelo's rude responses regarding matters that related to Terence Crawford and how he responded to Turki Alakshik during the period. To further complicate matters, he gave Terence Crawford a damaging snub after Crawford and Turki Alakshik released a video to declare their interest in the fight again.
First, I went to the Canelo Berlanga fight. And then after that, I went to the UFC fight. So it was a pretty busy day.
Alakshik once had the clash at the top of his boxing wish list and even made an offer to the Mexican superstar, yet after a breakdown in communication with Canelo, the proposal was withdrawn. For a while, it seemed as though the fight was dead in the water. But following Canelo's dominant, unanimous decision win over Edgar Berlanga on Saturday night at the T-Mobile Arena, the former pound-for-pound king received a clear message from Crawford and His Excellency Alakshik.
We going for Canelo next.
Yes! Let's go! Canelo, come on!
You heard it from him.
We are ready!
The pair were down the road watching UFC 306 at the Las Vegas Sphere and jumped on Instagram Live to call out Canelo. "Yo, Turkey, tell them we are going to go for Canelo next," said Crawford. "Yes," replied Alakshik. "Let's go. Canelo, come on, we are ready." Crawford then added, "You heard it from him. Just put me in the game, guy. Canelo Crawford, the biggest fight in boxing. But we stay ready though."
Just put me in the game.
We stay ready. That way we ain't gotta get ready. This change of tune comes after His Excellency Alakshik took to social media in August to write, "Just wrapped up an important meeting now with my team planning for the upcoming fights that we will make for 2024 to 2025. Once Canelo saw this, he was asked during his post-fight press conference what he thought about their declaration on social media. Frankly, the Mexican champion responded, "No comments." This forced Terence Crawford to fire back at Canelo for his snub. Crawford, who recently made his debut at super welterweight 2 divisions down, had a keen eye on Canelo's most recent contest, given Canelo is the only opponent he feels adds to his legacy at this point. On the performance, he told TMZ Sports that Canelo was great as always.
It was a pretty busy day.
Let's start with the Canelo fight, the Canelo card. Obviously, you said that put me in coach that you wanted next.
First, I went to the Canelo Berlanga fight, and then I went to the UFC fight. I think Canelo put on a great performance like he always does. Canelo was Canelo. I think Berlanga put on a tremendous show as well. He showed a lot of heart and great determination as well, and it made for a great fight. Crawford's win over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds was his first distance fight in 8 years and led some analysts to question whether or not his own power was beginning to lose its sting as he continued to move up. That will become more apparent against the even bigger Canelo. Despite those warnings from some in the boxing world, in the same interview, the 36-year-old from Omaha reiterated his desire.
First, what did you think of his performance versus Berlanga?
I think he put on a great performance, like he always do. Canelo is Canelo.
I've been wanting the fight. It's a legacy fight. It's the biggest fight in boxing today. I feel like the fight is the last of the Mohicans. I think the fight would be massive. You've got two guys who are top 3 pound for pound going head-to-head together. I know Canelo is bigger than me, but I'm up for the challenge. It's all respect. And if he does decide to come my way and we get in the ring, then it would be an electrifying fight. Of course I'll beat him. There is no doubt in my mind that I would beat anyone I step in the ring with.
Buenas noches, Enrique Veas, gusto saludarte, felicidades por la pelea, pero a mí me gustaría saber tu sentir, ¿no? Empezaste anunciando la pelea que el tum.
I've always been a smaller guy. In every weight class that I ever competed in, everybody always said I was too small for this guy, too small for that guy, and I always was successful in the fight. Being bigger doesn't win fights, so my skills pay the bills and my skills got me this far. I think it would tell who is the no one guy. In the post-Mayweather era, who's the king of kings. Crawford hasn't come all that close to losing yet, though Madrimov gave him his toughest fight. He's sliced through the weight classes after winning his first championship at lightweight, becoming undisputed champion at junior welterweight and welterweight.
Que le ibas a dar tum a Berlanga, hoy se lo diste, pero no se da el knockout. O sea, ¿qué está faltando? Y es lo que la gente en México pide en redes sociales para el knockout.
¿Para qué son los 12 rounds? Ahora te pregunto yo a ti.
Okay. And as Crawford points out, he's both taller than Canelo with a longer reach, 1/2 inch in height and 3.5 in reach. Still, Canelo is far larger than stature with the punching power to match. 10 of Canelo's past 13 fights were contested at 168 pounds, 2 at 175 and 1 at 160. The last time Canelo competed at 154 pounds, September 2016. If I beat him, nobody's going to say, oh, he beat Crawford because Canelo's a good fighter, Canelo said. He's a pound-for-pound great too, but he's smaller. You're going to start seeing, but he's small in this. But if the money's right, why not at this moment in my career?
¿Qué son los 12 rounds? Ahora te pregunto yo a ti.
Pues para llevar ahí con el tema de las tarjetas y ganarlo, pero la gente quiere ver ese punch, quiere ver ese knockout.
Canelo is referring to his legacy that's already secured as one of the all-time greats and the longtime face of the sport. He earns upward of $35 million every time he steps through the ropes, and there's nothing left for him to prove. He still has the hunger to compete and train hard though, and at some point soon, he'll surely want to challenge himself. That means a fight with either Bivol or Crawford is next. I already fight the best out there and I'm still doing good things, Canelo said. I'm the best in the world.
Predecir un knockout. De querer noquear, claro que quieres, ¿no? De que se dé, también tienes un rival enfrente que está haciendo su trabajo.
Well, both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford aren't just lousy fighters, but fighters whose records speak for them. Terence Crawford has won all 41 fights and remains the first boxer to be undisputed in 2 weight categories. Canelo Alvarez, on the other hand, has ruled the super middleweight division and has even gotten a belt at light heavyweight division. Between themselves, they have 107 fights and just 2 losses in all. The clash of 2 of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of this generation is sure to create much buzz in the boxing world. But while both fighters have foreseen victories for themselves, what do other fighters see? Former world champion and commentator Tim Bradley believes Terence Crawford will be victorious against undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez.
Crawford to beat a Canelo Alvarez, even at 168. I think that his skill level is up there with the greatest. I don't think we've seen anything like Terence Crawford in all my years of boxing.
In fact, he's of the belief that there is only one man who can end Terence Crawford's dominance in boxing, and it is surprisingly not fellow pound-for-pound superstar Canelo Alvarez. While he has not earned the same notoriety as boxing megastars like Alvarez or heavyweight great Tyson Fury, there is little doubt Crawford is, arguably, the best boxer on the planet. His 41-0 record and the recent destruction of fellow welterweight star Errol Spence Jr. solidified that fact. It is why there has been a debate raging for the last year about if there is any active fighter that could hand Bud the first loss of his career.
I know that for a fact. I've never seen anybody that has everything. Good speed, power, timing, can switch the way he switches, to have the toughness, the meanness that he has, the way he finishes guys, the way he breaks down guys. He's one of the smartest guys that I've ever seen in the ring.
Some have suggested Teofimo Lopez could be an option if he is willing to move up to super welterweight. Others believe Alvarez could be the man if Crawford wanted to take the risk of jumping up several weight classes for a mega fight. But former WBO and WBC light welterweight champion Tim Bradley doesn't believe either of the two can derail the Bud train. Instead, he feels Crawford himself is the only man who can end his reign of terror over the sport.
I don't think we've seen anything like Terence Crawford in all my years of boxing. I know that for a fact. I do study history. I've never seen anybody that has everything.
I think the only person that can beat Crawford is himself at this point, Bradley told Fight Hype recently. Madrimov is the champion and he must be respected, but as far as skill for skill, Crawford all day. I think he'll do well against Canelo, I really do. Would I be nervous if they were to fight? Hell yeah, because Canelo can punch and all it will take is one big punch. But as long as he uses his legs, his athleticism, and his defense to get out of the way, then he should be able to beat Canelo. Interestingly, Bradley thinks Crawford can outbox Canelo just like Floyd Mayweather Jr. did 11 years ago when he defeated the Mexican star when he was 22 years old, fighting at a catchweight in 2013.
Good speed, power, timing, can switch the way he switches, to have the toughness, the meanness that he has, the way he finishes guys, the way he breaks down guys.
Crawford is about to turn 37, has never fought above 147, and would be coming up in weight without being tested at 168 by the top contenders. More fans would agree with Bradley if Crawford were interested in providing himself at 160 against the Killers and at 168 to show that he can hang. The fans perceive Crawford is in a hurry to get a huge payday against Canelo and a golden parachute so that he can live in luxury in his retirement years.
He's one of the smartest guys that I've ever seen in the ring, right up there with Floyd Mayweather. So yeah, I would pick Terence Crawford to beat a Canelo Alvarez, even at 168.
This is the problem with the fact that he fought against Jermell Charlo. Charlo comes in at 154, said Tim Bradley to Fight Hype, reacting to Canelo Alvarez, saying he's not interested in fighting welterweight Terence Crawford because there's nothing to gain from fighting him. Jermell moved up a couple of weight divisions to fight Canelo. He got in there and laid an egg. He just basically went in there and survived. He just felt like I'm not on Canelo's level, but the difference is the mentality of Crawford. He's a top pound-for-pound guy, said Bradley. Well, we don't know if Crawford will be any different from Jermell Charlo because he's not volunteering to test himself against some of the top super middleweights to give fans a reference point.
Everybody can call me crazy and whatever you want to say. I get it. Y'all didn't believe me when I told you about Spence, but trust me, Crawford will figure out a way.
If Crawford chose to prove himself against David Benavidez or David Morrell, you could feel confident that he just showed up for the payday against Canelo without trying to win. Since Crawford has no intention of fighting anyone at 168 before fighting Canelo, you can only conclude this is about money and nothing else. Charlo was never a top pound-for-pound guy. The skills set of Crawford is what he brings, said Bradley. He's a competitor, man, and he's been after Canelo. He wants to fight Canelo, and I think he'll do well against Canelo, I really do.
A secret y'all don't know, and I ain't gonna tell you why I would pick Terence Crawford, but it's part of the secret is the reason why I'm picking him to win the fight. So
is it like a skill set? Is it like a preparation thing, or?
Nope, it's not. Nope, I'm not.
Now, am I nervous about the fight if they fight? Hell yeah, because Canelo can punch. That dude can punch and all it takes is one. He hits a guy like Terence one time who's coming up 3 weight classes to be able to face him. However, just like we saw with Floyd Mayweather, he was able to outbox him in 2013 when Canelo was 22 years old and was able to outthink him and outthink him. Bradley uses Mayweather as an example to justify his argument that Crawford can give up huge size against Canelo and beat him. But we really don't know if that holds water. Canelo fought welterweight Mayweather at 154.
Just gonna put it like this. If the fight was to happen, you will see. Yeah.
Because a lot of people think Terence can compete, but when
it wasn't a situation where Mayweather moved up to 168 and fought a prime version of Canelo who was at full strength, but Bradley had more evidence in support of Crawford. I think Crawford has that ability to outbox him, outthink him, make him miss, make him pay, said Bradley. As long as he's not catching too many of them and using his legs and his athleticism and his defense to get out of the way, he should be able to beat Canelo.
Once he touches Canelo, because he's been hit by bigger guys, he's not gonna, I don't want to say show him respect, but he's gonna be able to go, okay, I could walk through this. I could take a little risk and set up my traps, cut the ring off, dig to the body, and wear Terence down over the rounds.
I'm just gonna tell you like this.
Yeah.
Slow, plodding forward. Canelo's got a good jab, good quickness, and throws a lot of hooks. Crawford just gets away from all of those and gets underneath them. He should be able to beat Canelo. We're basing it on what Charlo was able to do. Charlo didn't do anything. He was scared. He didn't want to get knocked out. I don't blame him. He didn't want to end up on a poster. I understand that. But you said you wanted to be great. You weren't great that night. Crawford is daring to be great, and I think he can do it, said Bradley. While Canelo hasn't paid much heed to the challenge, the fans surely did, who are divided on what would happen. But Sean Porter, who knows quite well what Crawford could do, says he is concerned.
Oh, that's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's gonna be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course.
It's a tough fight to predict, no doubt. Just look at Crawford's dominant performance against an elite-level boxer like Errol Spence Jr. Regardless, speaking to Marcos Villegas from Fight Hub TV, Porter commented on Crawford climbing 2 divisions and the power difference that exists between the boxers fighting in 2 different weight classes. I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds, Porter confessed.
Of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later.
However, Porter had an interesting analysis, suggesting Canelo would eventually slow down as he had done in most of his recent fights. So it led Porter to believe Canelo would start the fight on the front foot and bang on Crawford and break him down before the late rounds when he won't have the energy while Crawford would. Even so, Sean Porter didn't seem convinced that he had the answer to who would emerge victorious, claiming, "But there's so many components that make a champion. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all the components that Terence Crawford has."
And he still got that kind of steam, but there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just
Sean Porter, who was stopped by Crawford in the 10th round of their 147 title bout, disagrees that Canelo Alvarez has the advantage here. He told Fight Hype that his former opponent has many advantages against an aging Canelo. You have to get your mind out of the space of who's stronger. Boxing ain't just about strength. Who's smarter? Who's more athletic? Who's faster? Who's got more stamina? Who's got more experience? The list goes on. You add all that up and you think, wow, a lot is actually on Terence's side.
There's so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have.
I actually think that fight would be really interesting. I think that Canelo is not who he was 3-4 years ago. I wouldn't say he's declining fast, but his career is definitely not doing this going up, and it hasn't done this level in 2 or 3 years. It ain't a fast decline, but Canelo's certainly not who he used to be. A fight between them would be interesting and definitely competitive.
Definitely not doing this. And it hasn't done this in 2 or 3 years. So obviously it ain't a fast decline, but Canelo's certainly just not who he used to be. Terence Crawford, you imagine he's probably training at 160, which means his body's not foreign to being as high as 165.
Porter might not be sure if Bud could pull off the win, but Crawford's other former opponent does. Since his fight against Crawford last year, the Truth hasn't fought in over a year, even though a rumored fight against Sebastian Fundora is being negotiated for later this year.
Could happen. I mean, why not? If Crawford want to challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great. So, what I'm saying, I'm with it. So, I'll be going for Bud. If he fight.
Regardless, Spence actually had the opportunity to activate his rematch clause with Crawford, but chose not to. Whether it's because he needs more time to prepare for Crawford or has lost hope, Spence Jr. sure knows how formidable Terence Crawford is. According to a tweet from TalkSport editor Michael Benson, The Truth spoke on a potential fight between Crawford and Canelo.
If he fight Canelo, I'll be going for him. I mean, I don't know if he's going to win or lose, but I'll definitely be going for Crawford, I think. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off. He's chasing greatness, so why not? Canelo came up to 175 and all.
He said, if Crawford wants to challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great. I'm with it. As for who he thinks will win, Spence's words exuded confidence in his former opponent. I'd be going for Bud. I don't know if he'd win or lose, but if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off, Spence added. What are your thoughts on the idea of a Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford matchup? And what do you think about their clash? Do you think this match would see the light of the day or it would end up a prospect? Who do you predict as the winner of the fight if it actually happens? Let's know your thoughts in the comments section. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.